you and I, just me and you, we want to buy his business, but he don't want to sell his business, right? So we got to conspire.
We're still on the point of the Mexicans.
Got you. We got to conspire to create a situation whereby which he wants to sell his business. You understand? So in the Bronx, they used to burn down buildings, right? To devalue the property, so that they can later go in and rebuy the property at a cheaper price, rebuild it, resell it. You understand? It's called a conspiracy scheme. It's a long scheme to make money off people, right? Who don't have access to the means whereby which they can scheme themselves. Personally, I think that most people would be capitalists if they could, right? And that's why, you know, I take people at face value until they show me otherwise. I see you trying to create an economic situation whereby which you profit. I understand that. I don't have a problem with that. So
explain to them why you say that the Mexican is our enemy.
When you look at a situation that has, no matter how that situation began, when you look at the situation and it is in place, and you look at individuals operating from the mindset that this is a reality. You have Mexican individuals, or I don't know if they're Mexican, they might be Chicano, right? They originate from Mexico, but they are shooting black people with deliberate intent to kill black people, not to take over territory or move somebody off a block just to kill a black person, right? That makes you an enemy.
And I have to agree with Larry on this 100%.
Hold on a second.
Because,
did you hear what he said, though?
No, yeah, I heard what he said, but check it out.
He said, ignore the history of it. Just deal with what's going on now. So now what you're saying is, okay, ignore your black history.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
But that's the same thing.
No, it's not. It's not. It's not the same thing.
You know
why it's not the same
thing? If you saying ignore why the Mexican is targeting blacks, then you gotta say you gotta ignore why white people target blacks.
No.
And then you gotta ignore why Bloods and Crips kill one another.
Then deal with the fact that they're killing each other.
You know why?
You won't solve it if you don't know the why.
Sonetta, you recall the first thing I said to you when I came in today was, sometimes we talk about things and that's not what I'm talking about. Although it's related, it's not the same thing. When I'm talking about the instance of Mexicans killing black people, I'm not talking about white people and black people. I'm not talking about Bloods and Crips. I'm not talking about black and black crime. I'm talking about Mexicans killing black people. And what I'm saying to you is, no matter what the history is of any dispute that occurred between Mexicans and black people in a particular area, no matter what that incident was, when you look at what is going on, when you have Mexicans who belong to any particular group are targeting blacks who are minding their own business, who are coming home from work, who are just riding in a car, who just happen to be on a particular street, and they're shooting them because they are black, that is beyond the pale. They are enemies.
Yeah, right. But you said it's a conscious decision.
That's conscious.
Yes, it is. You cannot take an isolated situation. This is marginal. You cannot take a marginal situation and make a broad statement to say it is all inclusive of Mexicans.
But I'm not talking about.
Let me say this. Let me say this.
I'm talking about.
I went to Mexico.
I'm talking about the ones
I went to Mexico.
Not all Chicanos.
They waited on me hand and foot.
You had pesos.
Whatever. I went, but see, if Mexicans hated blacks and they was the enemy,
I didn't say that.
I couldn't go to Mexico
I didn't say that, though.
and chill
but
and act a fool out.
No, he said the Mexican whites.
I didn't say Mexicans hate blacks, man. Look,
he asked you were the Mexicans the enemy,
and I'm pretty sure that I said the individuals whom I'm talking about. Right? I don't know if they're Mexicans or Chicanos, and they belong to any particular gang, right? But
then you ain't answer the question.
What I'm talking about is they are riding around killing black people.
Then you didn't answer the question. Because you don't know who you're talking about.
How many times have you asked me? Because he's being a fool.
I'm not being a fool. You don't know who you're talking about.
How many times have we gotten to the situation where you ask me whether or not the white man is the enemy?
Many times.
right? And what would be my answer to you?
Not all white men.
That's what you were saying.
You understand?
yeah.
And why would I make a statement? Well, then not all Mexicans. I'm talking about the ones who attack you.
But you don't even know if they're Mexicans. You said, well, they're Mexicans, they took kids.
No, what I mean
so
is,
then you don't know who you're talking about.
I know. See, you would call them Mexicans, but
What
I
do I
don't
would
know.
call them?
I don't know if they would call themselves Mexicans. They might call themselves because some. Hey Tahuti, you know that some individuals like here, some brothers who classify themselves as Puerto Rican, right? And then you have others who know that they're not Puerto Ricans because Puerto Rico means rich gateway, right? So they tell you they Boricua, right? So now, Boricua. So now you don't say to a brother who tell you he's a Boricua, a Taino, no, you Puerto Rican.
But you know what? When I first met Tahuti, I thought he was a Boricua.
And a lot of people think that I'm
I thought he was Puerto Rican.
Especially with that shirt on, right?
brother, this is an African dashiki. What you talking about? Get a load of that. That's the dashiki, brother.
I'm just messing with
Yo, they
you,
got
man.
a rumor out there. They said, well, how can Tahuti be the general of the Black Power movement? He's not even black. He's a Native American Indian. They this clown, Lord.
They even call
Yeah,
you
Lord-
Farad Muhammad, Carnation, reincarnation.
But you know, I take all this abuse, and it's all good because, man, you know what?
At the end of the day.
Black,
end of the
you black,
day.
you black. Yo, at the end of the day, you blacker than Tiger Woods.
Hey, man, I'm blacker than most people. I'm blacker than
But
most
no,
people.
but Tahuti, you understand what I mean, right? When if you have a gang of individuals, and that gang of individuals happen to all be Mexican
Okay.
or Chicano, right? And they shooting black people, that's the enemy.
So then what we should say is that particular gang
But I don't know
have
if it's.
become enemies of black people. But we can't say the Mexican
But you understand, I'm
is
not
the
talking
enemy.
about.
But that's what he said. The question was,
That was
it was
the
a
question.
broad statement.
Is the
Is the
Mexican
Mexican
the enemy?
the enemy?
And at,
There you go,
and at all
baby this,
times,
baby
at
that.
all times, I referred to. It's very clear to whom I'm referring to.
No, it's not.
It is very
No,
clear.
you got
No, it's not very clear.
Not really.
It's not very clear because you
Clear
said
to me.
there could be Mexican, there could be Chicano, or
They got
whoever.
hard-working Mexicans.
So they could
right
be
here.
Salvadorians, they
Nah.
could be anybody. You don't know who they
Nah,
speak Spanish.
You know what they do in
All you
this
know is
society?
they speak Spanish.
Senator, they have this thing that they're doing now. This is one of the latest tricks of white supremacy, right? They have created a new ethnic group, right? The new ethnic group that they've created is called Hispanics, right? Now, for those of you who are familiar with the term Hispanic and have been using it for some years, you might say, well, that's not a new term. It's a new term within the white political establishment because Hispanics to them is all.
Let me ask
people
you,
who
when
speak
do you
Spanish.
see?
I
When
don't
do you
think
see?
so. I don't think white people think.
I didn't say white people.
in-
I said the political establishment.
Well, I don't think the political establishment says that all people who speak Spanish are Hispanics. I think the political establishment is sophisticated enough to know. The political establishment now is sophisticated enough to know that Hispanic means you are from Spain,
Right.
right?
No.
And,
Yes.
and the political
Yes.
establishment and the political
No.
As the speaking
establishment
Spanish.
says that
No,
we classify all people who speak Spanish as Latinos.
no, no.
You have
See,
Spanish-speaking people, and you have
Yeah.
Spanish people who are from
Yeah.
Spain.
When-
Those are the real Spanish.
When you see, look, when you know someone is from Spain, right, and you make that distinction. When you see Hispanics on the news, they ain't talking about people from Spain. They
Right,
talking
but those
about,
are not Hispanics.
What I'm saying to
Those
you,
are
brother.
Spanish-speaking
What I'm saying to
people.
you, brother.
And
that
is
is
not
what I'm
the
saying to
political
you, brother,
establishment.
is
That's
when
the
they
media.
say, when they say
That's the
Hispanic,
media. That's
when they
not the
say,
political
when they say, stop being
establishment.
trivial. When
I'm
they
not
say
being
Hispanic,
trivial,
when they
cuz.
say Hispanic,
There's a difference.
right? They mean Mexicans, Dominicans, Puerto Ricans, Salvadorians, Ecuadorians, Cubans. They mean them all when they say that. They have created a different ethnic group.
Say
because
in the media
they are-
then. Don't
they
say
are-
political
they are-
establishment.
It's in the political establishment because
It
they
is
do
not.
it. They do it for political reasons. They do it for political reasons.
Yeah.
So it's the political establishment. And when they try to get Hispanics, when you see white politicians going to Arizona and talking to primarily Mexican quote Americans, and they're carting the quote Hispanic vote, and when you see them in the Bronx, and
So
they're
what's the
carting
difference
the
between the
Hispanic
Hispanic and the
vote.
Latino? What's the difference between the Hispanic and the Latino?
That's like saying
Go ahead with your bullshit.
listen. That's like
I'm
saying.
sorry, I'm
that's
not
like
gonna do
saying. That's like saying. See, you gotta control yourself.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
That's like saying. That's like saying. What's the difference between Negro and Black? They use those terms interchangeably. Latino.
I'll tell you the difference between Negro and Black.
Latino is used primarily to refer to the culture, although it does refer to the language. Hispanic refers to the language and sometimes is used to refer
Is
to
the
the culture.
Dominican
Ask you a
Hispanic?
question. Let's
Is the
switch this
Dominican
up a little
Hispanic?
bit.
Hold on.
Dancing,
Hold on.
doing
Look, Sutek, look.
Miss Pretty
Sutek,
Titties.
Sutek, look at what you get ready to do, Sutek.
Yes.
Watch this. Is Dominican Spanish?
Hispanic, yes.
Okay, so
Now ask me, are they Black too?
Are they Spanish?
Are they? No, they're not Spanish.
Oh, okay.
In order to be Spanish, you have to come from Spain.
while we're talking,
But they
about
are Hispanic
Okay.
okay, now while
in the
we're-
political sense.
Now listen to what you just
let me
said.
ask you a question.
His Hispanic.
No, man, no.
The
No,
white
see,
man, the cracker.
No, I'm not playing with words.
They are the cracker.
No, I'm
Yeah,
not
of course
playing-
you are. That's
no, I'm
all
not.
this is
No,
playing
no,
with
I'm not
words.
playing with words. I'm not playing
That's
with words.
all this is
All right,
playing
hold
with words.
on. Let me get Tahoe.
While we're talking about these generic terms,
Change it up.
let's change this up a little bit. I want to talk about this. How relevant is it for us to call ourselves Black, Negro, African American, Nubian, or what? Is it improper, like the Moors say, for us to call ourselves Black because the word Black in colorable law means slave or something to that fact? Let's deal with that right there. Who has the information on this?
Well, I think if you're talking about colorable law, and you're going to go by the definitions in colorable law, you got to say, okay, well, who wrote that law? And then whose definition is that? Did the Caucasian write that law? And then we're defining ourselves under his definitions?
There you go.
You know, are we? I think that it's hard for us saying we African is just like saying, you know, a white person is European. That doesn't narrow shit down for you, because he could be European. He could be from England. He could be from France. He could be from Sweden, Switzerland, Germany, Ireland. You know, so for us to call us African American, that's just like saying somebody's a European American. That doesn't narrow anything down for you.
Okay.
So, I mean, this is just my opinion. I'm not agreeing or disagreeing with anybody. I'm just stating my opinion. I think Black is what identifies us around the world.
Right.
So, you know, I'm comfortable with Black. I'm very, very uncomfortable
Okay, but
with
here's
Negro.
the argument. The argument, and I was just going
You are?
looking at the video
Uncomfortable with
at the
Negro?
Seti and Arlene debate,
Yeah, chill.
and one of the Moors got up and asked a question about this, and he said, well, how can we take an ancient people and then take a word that's not so ancient, because he gave us the etymology of the Black and said that it came in through the Middle English and a particular time of Europeans' history. So it's not an ancient word, so how can we call ourselves something that's not ancient for people that are ancient?
Well, let me ask you this. How many words do we use today that are ancient words?
None.
So, you know, we still say Egypt. We still say Africa. We still say Europe. We
And
still
so
say
well, then
Russia.
how
We
ancient
still
is the
say,
word
you know,
Moor?
Can I get a piece of that?
There you go. There you go.
Can I get a piece of that?
There it is right there.